With all the exciting hype surrounding Valentine's, you probably have some decent gift ideas swirling around, but you're waiting for the perfect one. Well, 1-800-Flowers.com is your answer, because right now when you order early, you can get 12 multicolored roses for only $19.99, or double it to 24 multicolored roses for only $10 more. It's an unbelievable offer from 1-800-Flowers. This gorgeous bouquet of multicolored roses is a perfect surprise she's guaranteed to love. And remember, 1-800-Flowers is here for all your upcoming Valentine's needs. A dozen multicolored roses for only $19.99, or an upgrade to 24 multicolored roses for just $10 more. It's an amazing offer. When it comes to life's meaningful moments, choose 1-800-Flowers.com. To order a dozen multicolored roses for $19.99 or upgrade to 24 multicolored roses for only $10 more, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click on the radio icon, and enter code WINGO. Again, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click on the radio icon, and enter code WINGO. That's 1-800-Flowers.com, code WINGO.
This is the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast.
Yeah! These Minnesotans and others are a hearty bunch. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Trey Wingo, Mike Golic, and eventually Mike Golic Jr. will be here.
What a slacker.
Yeah? Why is he not here?
He's already been doing his show first and last for 2 hours somewhere in this wonderful Mall of America where Radio Row is, and he is not. His show ended a good 5 minutes ago.
He should have been here.
Where is he? If he were a wide receiver, he'd be here. He's a fat old lineman, so he hasn't made it just yet.
Clearly, DNA is not in his favor.
Just so as we sit in the beautiful Hard Rock Cafe here,
Yes.
Did you go Minnesotans?
Yeah, I did.
Did you do that already to these people?
Well, look at them all.
I
Aren't you guys
understand
excited?
that.
Aren't you
Yeah.
excited?
Okay.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Didn't know, if you're trying to imitate them somehow, some
I
way.
would never do that.
No.
As
Okay.
far as you know. We are glad to be here. We're glad all of you are here. We got set up for a really, really big week. Golic and Wingo presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, you can get 12 multicolored roses for only $19.99 or double it to 24 multicolored roses for only $10 more. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. So we are set. This is our home for the next 3 days in Super Bowl week. And thankfully it's indoors. Because, Mike, we looked at the forecast, and today was supposed to be the warmest day of all the days
Yes,
we're
it
here.
was. Yes.
And then we walked outside, and we had a little surprise.
It snowed.
Yeah.
I think in 20 minutes it snowed like 3 inches, which to these people here is nothing. They call that a dusting.
Yeah, that's a 2-inch putt.
Yeah,
for these guys.
that's exactly right. So, adventures right out of the gate here. But, you expect that when you're in the cold weather city for the Super Bowl, but I'm looking forward to a few days here hanging out with as Trey would say, you Minnesotans.
Yeah. It went better when I said it.
It did. It really did. You're right.
That fell flat, didn't it, with him?
It fell flat. Where were you, people? Where were you when I needed you most?
I know. I think we know where they are.
Yeah.
I think we know where they are.
Team Trey.
So anyway, I have a somewhat personal story I need to share before we start this. So, we flew in yesterday,
right?
And from Connecticut here. And, you have your DOP kit with all your stuff, that your toothbrush, your toothpaste.
Yes, you're supposed to.
Supposed to.
Yeah.
So I opened up my DOP kit this morning. I was missing an essential item that you need to start your day.
Toothbrush?
No.
Toothpaste?
No.
Hairbrush?
No.
My son doesn't need that.
Well, I'm getting close to your son, so I don't want to talk about that.
What?
Things you need to make sure that you're not offending anybody.
Deodorant?
Yeah.
You don't have any deodorant?
Well, I do now.
Okay. All right.
But I didn't as I left the hotel room, and I went down to the front desk and said, I need you to help me out here.
Yeah.
So they gave me a little travel size, and then our driver, Tessa, was very nice.
Very, very
I walked
nice.
in and said, Tessa, I'm apologizing for what I'm about to do, but I'm thinking of you because I'm doing it.
So you put deodorant on in front of her.
Right in front of the driver.
In the van.
In the van.
There you go. Okay.
Thankfully, she was looking straight ahead, so there was nothing. But I felt bad about that.
Yeah.
But I would have felt worse had I not done it.
No, I agree. I agree.
Right? That would have been worse.
Your fault for forgetting that.
Yes,
quite honestly,
yes.
is
So
what it was.
I made the right choice from a bad decision.
You did.
That's what
you
I'd
came
like
out
to
of it
say.
well, which is a good thing. Good job.
And again, everybody here, and especially you, because you're going to win the proximity.
We're all winners. That's exactly
for the
right.
Next 4 hours,
and for
you came out ahead,
and for the amount of guests that we have, and big time guests here, they're going to be very happy.
I'm glad you mentioned that guest, because here's what we got coming up. All these times, and again, I apologize to the good people in the Central Time Zone, but we always do this in East Coast time.
Right.
So we're on at 6 in the East Coast. It's 5 here now. So at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Mall of America time.
Right.
Pro Football Hall of Famer Terrell Davis will be here.
Right.
At 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Mall of America.
You're going to do this? You're going to do this the whole
just to make sure
everyone?
everybody's clear. Dan Marino, Pro Football Hall of Famer, will join us.
Mm-hmm.
At 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Mall of America time, Sal Palantonio will be here. 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Hard Rock Cafe time. Tony Dungy, Pro Football Hall of Famer, will be here. 9 o'clock East Coast time, 8 o'clock here. Adam Thielen, Vikings wide receiver, will be here.
Yeah.
And then at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central time, it'll be Deshaun Watson joining us here, the Texans quarterback. Oh, and look who just strolled in.
Guys,
You all right?
it's a lot farther away than I imagined. This is not going to be fun the next couple of
The Mall of
mornings.
America is a large place, is it not?
It was more like, and listen, I wasn't actually going to sprint, but it was definitely more of a fast-paced walk than I was.
Yeah,
Were you like those race runners, the race walkers that did? Is that what you did?
Olympic power
Your heel
walking.
never came off the ground?
You get that nice hip wiggle to
That's
it.
it.
It looks real nice.
As I said, if you were Jake was a tight end, kind of the athlete. Jake would have been here in time for the start of the show. You not so much.
I got distracted, so I'm over there where I'm up in Radio Row where I'm doing the show is in the food court of the Mall of America.
Even better.
The problem is it's a giant tease because I'm doing the show from 3 to 5 a.m., so nothing is open.
Right. Good point.
Nothing. So I'm sitting there next to Shake Shack.
Oh.
It is like one of the greatest hells ever known. I sit there, I see it, the lights are all off, and I can't eat any of it.
Right. No one gave you a key.
No one gave me a key. They didn't think. I said I would be enough business for them to open early.
That's
I will
true.
cover the cost of whoever you need to send to work this early in the morning. Just help me.
So to recap, Mike Golick Jr.'s version of hell is being around a Shake Shack that's not open.
There you go.
Talk about first world problems.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a more descriptive, a literal thing of what hell might be like.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that's
yours.
for you.
I like to boil it down to the important parts.
There you go.
Something everyone can digest.
Well, except you because it wasn't open.
because you couldn't digest
Ba-dum-cha!
it. Very well
There
done.
we go. All right, enough of this. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's dive into how we normally do. Let's start off the top. Yes. Golick and Wingo on the road, presented by Progressive Insurance, live from the Hard Rock Cafe at the Mall of America here in Minneapolis. And we start with off the top in the NBA. James Harden, a career evening against Orlando, going for 60 points, 10 boards, and 11 assists in a 114-107 win.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice job out
Not
of him.
terrible.
No. He now has 3 50-point triple-doubles. Now he can add the 60-point. The first player in NBA history to score 60 points, as you mentioned, in that triple-double. He had more points and assists than everybody else on his team. 60 points, everybody else had 54. 11 assists, everybody else had 6. So he's good. And again, it's like without Chris Paul, Chris Paul on the court, Chris Paul off the court, not on the court now. So when these two are separated, they're doing really well. Imagine if they could get it together when they're together. But the way it's working for them, and maybe the way Cleveland goes with kind of Isaiah Thomas and LeBron, is make sure one of them's on the court at all times.
On only 30 shots, too. So an efficient night for him. 19 of 30, 17 of 18 from the free throw line. And mixing it in, we mentioned this is the first 60-point triple-double in NBA history. Why was everyone else so selfish? We've seen Kobe and these guys hit these marks. James is the only one willing to share the ball.
There you go. That's exactly
My
right.
point guard.
That's where you boiled it down to?
That's what I boiled it down to, man. He's the only one that's willing to play nice with others. Everyone else is selfish.
Good to have you on the show today.
I tell you guys missed me when I was gone for that 2 minutes.
We did.
It was actually going all right.
Yeah.
We continue with Off the Top. The struggles continued for the Cavaliers in many levels as they lost to the Pistons, who ended the game on an 8-game losing streak. With one January game left behind tonight against the Heat, Cleveland is 5-8 this month and been outscored by 6.8 points, and that's not even the worst of it.
No, it's not. To go along with that, fifth time in their last 11 games, the Cavs have allowed at least 125 points. Not going well for them at all. With the group of Isaiah Thomas, J.R. Smith, James, Tristan Thompson, and now Kevin Love, which we'll get into. In the 33 minutes, the first 4 players on the court without Love, they were outscored by 29. They just can't get it together right now. And then Kevin Love going out with a broken hand ain't going to help matters much.
6 to 8 weeks is going to make it difficult. Continuity had been an issue already for a team that had suffered not only injuries, but injuries one after another. It's not like they came all at once and they were able to adjust. It's constantly having to tinker with a lineup that they were already searching for answers.
Broken hand, non-displaced, so crack in the hands. It should heal up just fine. But again, it's going to take that 6 to 8 weeks, to your point, the continuity part of that. But you kind of know what you're getting out of Kevin Love.
Right.
I really think it's more about how the others are going to work into this rotation a bit.
Well, the other thing, too, here is that everybody was willing to blame Kevin Love for all their problems.
Yeah, what are you going to do now?
Yeah, okay, well, Kevin's gone now.
Yeah.
So either he really was the problem,
yeah.
and you guys will rip off like 30 in a row.
Could you imagine if they go on a winning streak now?
Or maybe it wasn't the big guy's fault.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way we want to look at it.
I'm hoping they bottom out. Kevin Love, sip your tea on the bench, man. Enjoy this moment. This is for you.
Get the meme with the Kermit the Frog.
Exactly, man.
Yeah,
I want him to lean into this one. He deserves it.
Well, we'll find out. All right, we continue with... down 2-1 with under 2 minutes to go, the Golden Knights rallied to beat the Flames 4-2 after scoring 3 goals in just 53 seconds. It took only 49 games, but with the win, Vegas, Mike, has already tied the NHL record for the most wins in an inaugural season.
Yep, it took them, just as you mentioned, the 49 games to get to those wins, 33 wins, tying the Mighty Ducks at 93 and the Panthers, Florida Panthers at 93 as well. They already surpassed their over-under. Listen, we're in Vegas, so you got to talk points, right?
Yes.
And Westgate Superbook put their point total at 68.5, the lowest of anybody in the league. They've already surpassed that. Listen, it's been nothing but an unbridled success for them. And we know the Raiders are going there in a year or so, and you say, okay, 8 home games, more of an event, could be a successful there, and it's the Raiders. How will hockey work? 41 home games. Are you going to get a crowd there and such? Man, they've been doing a great job. And winning certainly helps everything, but what a success that move has been.
I just like the approach because I was one that said when they announced that the Raiders were going to Vegas, I said, you got to lean into this. You got to make sure that the stadium has all the normal amenities that you would see in a hotel or casino out there. But I love the Golden Knights head coach John Tortorella's approach to this on his players going out in Vegas because that's the one thing everyone's always concerned with. He says, I want them to go out. I think playing guilty is a big part of being really good in the NHL.
Wow. Okay.
Well, but there's 2 ways to look at that. One, there's playing guilty, and there's one playing dehydrated. Those are 2 different things.
Yeah, no, playing with extreme there's a lot of guilt associated with hangovers, though. My Sunday mornings can attest to that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, however, you're sitting in a radio studio.
Yeah.
You're not doing 3-minute shifts on the ice.
That's fair enough. You'll sweat it out a lot faster.
There's a slight difference.
Only slight.
So I
did just run from the food court here.
Well,
actually,
you said you didn't run. You said
you walked fast.
Yeah.
So
same,
I just
thing.
Just pick one story, man, and stick with it. That's all we're asking. All right, we continue. Trae Young had Trae Young night. 44 points, including 31 in the second half, to carry 12th-ranked Oklahoma past Baylor 98-96.
6 3-pointers beyond 30 feet. You know, he doesn't just shoot a 3-pointer,
No.
he bombs them.
Yeah.
He absolutely bombs them away on this one. And he drew 13 of Baylor's 23 fouls, so he was 16-19 from the free throw line. So, you know, we saw Alabama put the clamps on him pretty well, just absolutely harassed him like crazy. But when he gets free and when he gets a shot for those shots, he can drain him from a far, far downtown.
And so we continue to see these varied parts of his game showing up. We saw the other night doing it more efficiently, doing it more of an all-around game after he was challenged to do so by his coaching staff there. But reminding you he can put the pedal down on the gas, and it's going to be important as he will probably see more of what Alabama gave him as they get to tournament time and teams have to figure out, all right, we've got to cut off this one guy and we'll have a chance. They gave you the blueprint.
Well, what I really liked about watching his game is he's a finisher. You know, I get it. He can shoot from deep. He reminds me of Kyrie, the way he can finish around the rim. All those off-balance shots that sometimes seem like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, that worked.
And it's always nice when instead of him doing that, he just bombs it from 30 feet.
Also true.
Just watch that rainbow go in.
We call that inside-outside.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, yeah.
It's nicely done. And that was off the top.
Yes, it was.
We'll get to the big NFL news that really has nothing to do with why we're here, which is really amazing, between the Chiefs and the Redskins in just 30 seconds. But first, Mike.
Let's talk about Dollar Shave Club, not only giving you an amazing shave, but they also make products for your hair, face, skin, shower, everything you need. And it's all their own original stuff. They have it covered head to toe. And right now you can get your first month of their best razor along with travel-size versions of shave butter, body cleanser, and other great products for just $5. After that, replacement cartridges ship for just a few bucks a month. It's the DSC starter set for just $5 exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/Golic. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Golic.
All right, as we continue here on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, obviously, you know when you see somebody walking around with that T-shirt that said, my parents went to the Bahamas and all I got was this lousy T-shirt?
Yes.
I kind of feel like that's where we are at Super Bowl week. I went to Super Bowl week and suddenly a trade broke out.
Yeah,
you know, we're all here to talk about the Eagles and what's going to happen on Sunday against the Patriots. And ladies and gentlemen, the crazy offseason in the NFL has already begun. The Washington Redskins and Kansas City Chiefs have pulled off a trade. Alex Smith, the quarterback, goes to Washington. In exchange, Washington gives up a third-round pick, which, by the way, they'll get back.
They'll get back, right.
When Kirk Cousins signs in free agency somewhere.
The way it works when you ever watch that draft, and Trey's the one drew in a draft all the time, and you see at the end of a round it goes into the compensatory picks. Well, that's what happens when you lose a free agent. It's gauged on how valuable that free agent is, and then that team gets a pick. So when the Washington Redskins lose Kirk Cousins to free agency, that's what they'll get back. So they really just swap picks there. But
they also lose up Kendall Fuller.
Kendall Fuller, a cornerback who's a young cornerback who's coming off a real nice year, giving up a young, promising player there.
So it essentially becomes Alex Smith for Kendall Fuller. Nice in favor of him if you're feeling like you're worth a quarterback in all of this, and one that for Washington now gives them something to steady. They had been doing this year-to-year gamble with Kirk Cousins and finally decided we can't live like this anymore.
Well, or maybe Kirk decided he didn't want to live like that anymore, because to me, I'm pretty sure he let that Washington team know that, look, this has been fun for a couple of years, but I'm not doing this anymore. And so they felt like they had to move on. And Kirk is, 27, 26, 27, 28 years old?
Right in that range.
So Alex was the first pick of the 2005 draft, okay? Now, look, he played great last year.
He's 29, by the way.
29. Okay, Kirk's 29. Alex is 34. So in a sense, essentially, what Washington decided, which I find interesting, is that we're willing, because they signed up to, a 5-year, $94, but it's really a 2-year deal. 5-year, $94 million deal. Essentially what Washington said is, we've had this guy that's rewritten the record books, literally rewritten the record books in franchise history over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And he's younger, but gosh darn it, we're going to go with that 34-year-old. Now, I get it, in this day and age, players are playing later and doing well, and Tom Brady is here as a 40-year-old, soon-to-be 41-year-old quarterback playing in the Super Bowl later this year in 2018. But basically, they went for the older guy and paid him more when you had a guy in your system that was extremely productive over a 3-year time frame. I find that curious.
Well, I find it curious, but I do wonder if part of it was just Kirk Cousins got turned off. You go back to the first offer he got. He and his wife were they were in London when they read about the first offer. And again, it sounds odd as we all sit here and listen to numbers. He was offered a deal that basically paid him about $12 million a year. And as it was put, he was highly disappointed considering what quarterbacks make in this league. And I don't know if that turned him off to saying, okay, I'm done with them, because remember, Washington was so quick in their latest offer last year to him, which is obviously much more than that. Right. They were quick to make that one public, say, oh, no, we offered him a ton of money, and he turned it down. So you just wondered, no matter what money they offered, was Kirk Cousins, knowing he was going to get it somewhere else, not going to be back in Washington.
Knowing he had a leverage position, the likes of which we really don't get to see in the NFL anymore. And for Washington, part of this can be financial. They said Alex Smith's deal is going to average about 23.5 a year. We know Kirk's is going to touch 29-30 a year, right? That's the average ballpark that we're getting into for a guy that knows he could go out and look at the free agent market and say, I've got all of this now. That market is shrinking by the day as things start to happen and topple around the league, the most recent of which was Blake Bortles' wrist surgery.
Right. Well played by Blake Bortles.
Yeah, $19 million.
Guarantees him his $19 million contract.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. And again, none of this can be official, air quotes, until the league year starts on March 14th. Right. But everything is in place. I'm not an Alex Smith batcher in any way, shape, or form. Alex Smith just came off a season where he threw for over 4,000 yards for the first time, completed 68% of his passes, had 26 touchdown throws and only 5 interceptions, and it wasn't good enough in Kansas City. So that's what I find interesting here, most importantly, is that you had 2 teams. Well, it wasn't good enough because they are all in on Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
The kid they drafted last year out of Texas Tech. But you had 2 really, really good quarterbacks, and neither one of them felt like the team that they were playing for was good enough. And that's the most interesting thing about this switch, which is brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetics motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. So we had a record-setting performance by Kirk Cousins over the last few years, but Washington never really loved him. Alex Smith did everything that Andy Reid and that coaching staff wanted him to do in Kansas City, including literally the best year of his life.
Yeah.
Of his life. And they didn't feel it was good enough in Kansas City.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into that Kansas City side of it. But on this trade, you always say, who won, who lost? Well, our own Louis Riddick said, hey, both teams did pretty well here.
if you're going to move on from Kirk Cousins, you want to at least make a lateral move in terms of the type of guy that you acquire. And maybe you do get someone who can do some things, and Alex can do some things that Kirk can't do. Namely, he can add a different dimension as far as running the football, and maybe will open up their offense as far as, having a dual threat at the quarterback position. So I think it's a win-win in terms of the Kansas City Chiefs going ahead and moving on and being able to play their young player, and the Redskins moving on from a situation there with Kirk Cousins that never was going to end any other way than how it ended.
First and foremost there, our insider Louis Riddick is now letting Mike Jr. know that you can unbutton that shirt about 4 more buttons.
There you go. How about
really
that?
letting it fly. Was that a puka shell necklace there, too? Louis, not afraid to let it all hang out.
He went down that road.
Louis apparently did chest day yesterday, so good for him.
It is amazing. Kirk Cousins, the last 3 years, 81 touchdowns, 36 interceptions. I mean, you're right. You look at those stats. I think that the relationship was damaged there. And he wasn't coming back. I think there'll be a good trust factor with Jay Gruden and Alex Smith. You can trust him, whether you think he's going to really, throw. Remember, after the first few weeks of the season, he was in the MVP conversation for the way he was hoisting the ball down the field. But I go back to what you said. I'm kind of with you. Man, I get it if you're going to be all in on a young quarterback. And remember, Andy Reid and the Chiefs moved way up to get Pat Mahomes. But my gosh, you got a quarterback. I'm amazed at what goes on with Alex Smith getting ousted in San Fran by Colin Kaepernick and now ousted by Pat Mahomes, a guy who has done nothing. Now, could you imagine? And listen, he's going to struggle. Pat Mahomes did not play his rookie year, barely at all. There is no chance on God's green earth he comes in next year and lights it up. He is going to struggle, and there's something amazing to me about the fact that you have a Chief team that can win now, that you're going to go now to a young quarterback. I'm a little surprised.
Well, I don't know if this Chief team can win now in the way that you believe they can. This defense is getting old. This defense struggled a lot this year, and I understand you lose Eric Berry, who was your best defensive player.
Right.
But there's still enough that you need to address there where you can use, because one thing this does is give them a lot more cap space than they had by taking Alex Smith's contract off the books for the rest of this. It gives them a little more wiggle room to work with, and I think in a time where you understand, all right, we've got a few more things that we need to address, we can deal with a little bit of uncertainty with a lot of upside going forward at the quarterback position if that means we've got room to work in other places.
You hope there's a lot of upside.
I mean, we know there's a lot of upside. That's why it's upside. You can't put a cap on it. You hope you know there's upside there. Whether it's realized or not is sort of the weird part.
By the way, forgive me. You know how I noticed that Lewis was just letting it all hang out there?
Yeah.
We got your microphone thing. It's very jaunty the way it's sitting on your head. It's like a cap that's leaned forward.
Is jaunty a thing you can say?
I don't know.
Like
you got a look going on.
It's a little something. Yeah. It's a little something there.
Trying to cover up the hairline.
Couple of things. Yeah. Good luck with that. A couple of things with Lewis there. Is it really okay just to make a lateral move? And is it a lateral move if you're giving up 6 or 5.5 years in age for that quarterback?
And
that's a concern I have.
You're going, in my opinion, you're going to go down in production. You're going to go down in production.
I agree. The one thing maybe that the Kansas City Chiefs became enamored with, in that last regular season game that Mahomes started and played, he was the first Kansas City quarterback drafted by the Chiefs to win a game since Todd Blackledge was drafted in 1983.
Absolutely amazing.
So before that win went to Pat Mahomes, every single win that the Kansas City Chiefs had been done with a quarterback that they had not drafted.
Yeah.
That's an incredible drought. So maybe they're like, hey, we finally drafted a guy who could win a game.
Yeah, so let's
we
make
are
him the
all
starter.
in on Pat Mahomes. And a lot of people are in on Pat Mahomes for a lot of reasons. Butring it's about potential. We saw production with Alex Smith. We'll see if that plays out going forward. Golic and Wingo,
the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Trey Wingo and Mike Golic Sr. Hall of Fame running back Terrell Davis joins us now on set. Much to the applause of those people here at the Hard Rock Cafe in the Mall of America. He's brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. He's here on behalf of Kay Jewelers. Obviously, you're here because you're a Super Bowl MVP. You know what it takes to win a couple of these things. But were you surprised when you heard the news last night? We got a big trade Super Bowl week?
Yeah, I was, man. I think we started to look at places that Alex Smith would go, and the Redskins were not on the radar here. Yeah. They had Kirk Cousins there, and you didn't think that they would make a move to bring him in and just have Kirk. We know he's a free agent now, but it's a little shocking to a lot of people now.
And you wonder, being in locker rooms, and the one thing you always try and say is, and I made this mistake the first year of free agency, is you take stuff personal when it's a business. And you wonder if that's where it ended up with Kirk Cousins in Washington, that it just ended up personal. He didn't like the first offer, and it just didn't go well from there. And you just wonder if the relationship was kind of soiled from that point on.
Well, I think you heard on both sides where there was like shots being fired from both sides, right? So you got Kirk Cousins coming in, and he's not really your guy, but he's your guy.
Yeah.
If you're a quarterback, how does that make you feel, right? You're signing me to obviously franchise tagging me every single year. You're not committing long term to me. So listen, it's a business for him. He has to look at it and say, if you're not making a commitment to me, then why should I make a commitment back to you? And people say, well, no, you should be all in with the team. Well, the team wasn't all in with him.
That's exactly right.
So I understand his sort of mindset behind that.
And the mindset was completely different for Alex Smith, who all year you heard kind of saying, listen, I've been around long enough. I know how this league works, and I know how quickly it can change year to year. But, I mean, TD, you won a Super Bowl with John Elway, who at the time was the oldest quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Old.
Two. Dose. But, two Super Bowls.
I got you.
Of course, sneak that one in there. Trust me, 2 Super Bowl.
Don't shortchange me now.
I'm not going to shortchange you.
Okay.
I see all the diamonds shining from over there. I can't take anything away from you there. But playing with a veteran quarterback as opposed to now what Kansas City's going to go to, turning into a rookie in Patrick Mahomes, how does that play in a locker room full of other guys who are looking at every year as, maybe their last chance to accomplish what they're trying to do?
That's a great question, because we had Brian Griese, who was behind John Elway when I was there, and it seemed like the team was ready for that Brian Griese era to start. But inside the locker room, the players knew that he wasn't quite ready. And so now what you're doing is you're taking a chance from a guy who's a proven starter to a guy that has to prove himself. And when you're ready to win now, that's difficult for people to swallow that and say, all right, now we're going from a team that can compete to a team that you don't have no clue what you're going to look like coming out of training camp.
Are you surprised?
And that's where we were.
You surprised they made that? I mean, a lot of us trust Andy Reid, but I mean, wow, I'm really surprised.
Well, I'm not surprised in the fact that the writing's been on the wall. You draft Patrick Mahomes. Like, you knew that was going to be the future of the franchise.
Alex Smith said that like in the first OTA.
Oh, yeah, he knew
it. It was like, it's done.
When you talk about this year, right, the first 5 games, Alex was playing like he was playing for his job. Like, his backup, you can hear the threats. You can hear the footsteps. He was playing out of his mind because you got a rookie quarterback who can come in, who they want to bring in. They just want to make sure that the timing was right. So he knew that this was going to happen. Yeah. This is not a big surprise.
The other thing that's sort of interesting is Terrell Davis is here with us on set.
It's warm in here, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. Let me tell you, I was absolutely dripping sweat under this.
The problem is,
I see you sweating.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've got some deodorant if you need it.
I don't need deodorant. I just need to stop sweating.
Can we get him a body sponge? Maybe something.
A ShamWow. The problem is if you're TD,
did you just say ShamWow?
Yeah,
ShamWow. Right. Great commercial.
The problem is if you're TD and you're hot, though, you can't take off that jacket. You got to just ride it out with that.
I can't take the jacket
I think he's got like one for each appearance. He's got like 5 of these wherever he goes. He's got one. He'll send it out to the dry cleaner. Look, the other thing that's interesting here, and I get it was on as soon as Patrick Mahomes was traded. Alex Smith played the season of his life.
I know.
The season of his life. Over 4,000 yards, 68% complete, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and the Chiefs are still like, yeah, we like the kid.
But where did they go with that?
Yeah. Well, okay, that's fair.
And so
that's fair.
We love to judge quarterbacks, right?
I try not to.
But you have to.
I try not to because I don't believe. You know what? While it's great, you look at John Elway's stats in your first Super Bowl win. He was on the all hanging on there quad squad.
It don't matter.
You were the reason they won that Super Bowl.
He was the one that captained that ship. He captained the ship, right? He steered it in there, just like with Peyton Manning. His numbers weren't great.
They were awful.
But
when the Denver Broncos
you have to understand, it's not just the tangibles. There's the intangibles that those quarterbacks bring to the table, right? The fact that when I'm in the huddle with John, I know one thing: my level of play need to be through the roof because I know that he expects that from me, and the responsibility that I have to play at a higher level. He's making sure that I play up there.
And you get both sides of it here. And Tom Brady, who's been there, done that, and a guy, Nick Foles, who got thrust into the situation for a few weeks and has taken advantage of that opportunity. So let's talk about that for those of us who played and never made it to this game, and those of us who never played and obviously didn't get to this game. Where are the players right now? And is there a difference of when you went that second time like these Patriots have experienced to your first time like a lot of the Eagles players are now in mentality approaching this game?
So we had basically both scenarios, right? We were the new team, no experience, and we played the Packers who were like 14-point favorites,
right? Right.
So we knew what that felt like to be the underdogs and going to a big game. And we also were favored in the second game against the Falcons. I mean, the first game was like, we realized one thing. Don't try to do things that you don't do. And at the end of the day, it's just football, right? I mean, this game is big, and when you get here, you recognize it is a huge game. But when it's all said and done, we control what we do on that football field. We control how we perform, how we play, and we felt confident that we can win that game. Despite what everybody said, all the pundits, you guys up here, I know Trey was probably saying it, right?
No, I actually picked you guys, and people thought I was crazy.
Okay.
You know why I picked you guys?
Why?
Because I said because they can run the ball.
Oh,
so we were
true.
That's right. We were built
I
like
can
an
find
NFC
you
team.
the tape. Y'all just shut the hell up. I can find you the tape. I was in on
Find
this
the
one
tape.
before
Bring it
anybody.
back.
Go ahead and pull the tapes.
Yeah, so I think it's, you know what, if you feel like you're an underdog or you feel like you're not prepared or you feel like you don't have the experience, then maybe it shows. But to me, it's you have to just say, forget all that stuff, forget the noise. We came here to win this game.
And look, for all of us that follow football extensively, we know this story, but I'm not sure everybody here in this audience or our viewers or listeners know the story of how bad your migraine was in that game in which you were the Super Bowl MVP. You were blinded at one point by the migraine. You couldn't see, right? So you were like, I can't see, you're out of the game. And Mike Shanahan comes to you in a goal line situation and says what?
He says, it doesn't matter if you can see or not. We need you in this play. Otherwise, they don't think we're going to run the football.
So he came in there. I mean, literally, the headache was so bad. It was right before the half, and he just said, look, we're not going to give you the ball. We need you to go on the field so they'll honor the run, right?
That's exactly what happened.
And then what happened?
So with me, when I get migraine headaches, the first thing that happens is that my vision goes out. Yeah. I mean, people say, can you not see anything? I said, well, if I'm looking at you guys, I can see half your face, and it's like
That's probably better.
It's like it's like a puzzle, right? Where all the pieces aren't connected. Yeah. You know, you dump the puzzle out. That's what it looks like.
Right.
So you can't really make out things. So that happened, and we were changing fields at the time. It was after the first quarter, heading to the second quarter. We were on the goal line. I had to go tell Mike on the way back that, hey, I just want to make sure you know I cannot see. Yeah. So do not give me the football. So I just wanted to let him know that, and he says, it doesn't matter if you can see or not. We need you in this game. And
love that.
And I didn't think twice about it. I just walked onto the field, and we ran the play. It was a bootleg. It was a play action, and John Elway rolled out to his right. No, that's not it.
Yeah, that's the game-winning.
And then he runs the ball in and scores a touchdown. But that was a big play for us.
Yeah.
You know.
So basically, I love that story. Look, I know you're hurting, but just go out there anyway, and just we're not going to give it to you. But you were the ultimate decoy on that play.
In that game, it didn't matter.
Yeah,
it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I had to play, and there was people say, "Well, how did you do it?" I said, "You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
There wasn't even an option not to go into that game and then to come back in the second half and play."
Well, and you were expected to carry the load in that game, and I'm interested from your perspective looking at these two teams because they really go running back by platoon and both squads. How that changes your approach as a back when you know you might not get all the carries you're used to get into a rhythm.
Well, they're used to that. So in New England, as you know, their teams every single game they have a game plan that says, well, we may use a bigger back, a Gillislee, or we might take Rex Burkhead, we might take Deion Lewis or James White. They have all these different running backs that they can present a matchup problem for any defense. And their backs, I saw this the other day. They have 4 running backs on their team that has 5+ touchdowns this season. No other team has that this season. So they're very good at taking running backs and making them receivers, and that's the thing you have to defend when you play them. You say, okay, well, can we defend the running game? Well, the run game is actually the little swing out, routes. It's the little dump down. It's the option routes. Sometimes they're wheel routes or sort of go routes, but they're so good at using those running backs, man, and that's what makes them special.
Bill Belichick always likes to say we can win a lot of different ways, and he certainly does that with a bunch of running backs. Yeah, Hall of Famer running back Terrell Davis. Look, we'll never agree on this quarterback thing because I think when Pat Bowlen gave that stat, this one's for John, thanks to the excellence of Terrell Davis. Thanks to the excellence of Terrell Davis.
I was behind him saying, me too.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, good to have you here. Terrell Davis, ladies and gentlemen. Hall of Fame running back Laddie's here with us.
Golic and Wingo, the podcast.
What a day, what a show, what a time.
I tell you what, a great sports night last night. No doubt about it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sal Paolantonio is here, ladies and gentlemen. Our intrepid NFL reporter, insider, and a guy who knows Philly better than almost anyone. Sal Powell is here to join us, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Sal, how we doing, my man?
We're doing great. I'm embedded with the Eagles in their hotel. It's great. Doug Peterson's turned 50 today. It's his birthday.
Oh, really?
Is it really?
Yeah. Big 5-0 for Dougie P. And today is also Justin Timberlake's birthday. How about that?
There you go. Not 50, by the way.
37, ironically. In fact, Doug texted me this morning. He said that he retired from the NFL at age 37. So
it's all coming together. There's a plan. We're all pulling it together.
Going on there.
You want to talk about a little juju going on, and Eagle fans are going to understand this. This goes back to a guy that was, my teammate, but a great friend more than my teammate, the late, great Jerome Brown.
Yeah.
Jerome Brown is going to be 52. It's Super Bowl 52. You know when he's turning 52?
On Sunday?
On Sunday, February 4th.
Really?
Jerome Brown's birthday, February 4th, he'll turn 52. You want to talk about, give me a little bit of chills on that one,
Absolutely.
saying, wow.
Well, here's why that's a great omen, because our former teammate here at ESPN, Mark Schlereth, he played in Super Bowl 32 on his 32nd birthday. And he said, you know what, guys? We're going to win because there's no way I'm going to turn 32 on 32 and play in Super Bowl 32 and not lose. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they pulled off the upset.
I'm not a big believer in the, put those things together, but that one with Jerome.
But we just did.
I know you are, Sal.
I'm
but
a
that
Catholic
one,
schoolboy.
that one with Jerome really kind of, I was like, wow.
To Sal's point, Sal and I have had two of these experiences that have turned out, okay? Sal and I were standing next to each other at Super Bowl 36, which was the first Super Bowl after 9/11, between the Rams, who were the big favorites, and the Patriots. And the Rams did the normal
Superdome, New Orleans.
Absolutely. Strangest Super Bowl I've ever been to, walking to the Superdome, seeing tanks in the streets. I'll never forget that. First Super Bowl after 9/11. But we're sitting next to each other, and we're watching the Rams come out there, and they did their normal thing, and then the Patriots came out as a team. They weren't introduced, but they came out as a team. And Sal and I both got chills. And he looked at me and he said, Trey, there is no way that a team named the Patriots in the first Super Bowl after 9/11 isn't winning this game. And lo and behold, what happened? The Patriots won that game.
And they were 14-point dogs in that game.
14-point dogs. And then spin it forward to Super Bowl 42.
Oh, man.
Sal and I are sitting at Glendale between the Patriots and the Giants.
We were in the basement of that stadium.
Absolutely. And we watched that first series where the Giants' defensive line got after Brady, who was a little beat up. He had the foot injury after the AFC Championship game. And Sal looked at me and said, if they can do this, they can win this game.
But we were in the
Sal's good on premonitions.
We were in the basement of the stadium at that game, and you were on the phone with Mark Schlereth back at his house. And we couldn't see the famous helmet catch.
Yeah.
And Schlereth is giving us play-by-play over the phone, and you were giving it to me.
Right.
And we never saw it happen.
That's a great story. When you cover the Super Bowl and you have to get post-game, you have to leave early in the fourth quarter, and they shepherd you down into the stadium. So there's no TVs down there. So I called Mark and said, Mark, Sal and I and a bunch of 40 other people are walking down to the Super Bowl.
Can you give us the play-by-play?
Give us the play-by-play. So the first thing he says, okay, Eli, looks like they're in a zone blocking scheme. I'm like, Mark, shut up. Don't tell me. Just follow the ball. It looks like a 2-3 game. They're playing. No. Follow the ball. So he did that, and here's how he described the great play of David Tyree. Eli, he's back to pass. He's running around. He's got it. First down. Great. Okay. So that was the play. So then we get down to the field, and we can see at the very end Plexico Burress catch the game-winning touchdown pass on a monitor. So I'm like, I'm going to be on the field. I'm going to make a beeline for Plexico Burress. I'm going to talk to the guy who won the Super Bowl in the hugest upset. And I do, and I run down there, and I'm the only guy standing next to Plexico Burress. And I'm thinking, this is the greatest thing in the world. I've got this one-on-one.
Everybody,
I'm everybody here. No one's around. And then I walk back, and there are 4,000 people around David Tyree. And I'm like, why are they around that special teamer? What's going on here? Yeah. Only later did I realize that Mark's call of Eli scrambling and first down was, he's almost sacked. He throws it over the middle. David Tyree has Rodney Harrison all over him, pins it to his helmet. Greatest play in Super Bowl history. Yeah. Mark has no future as a play-by-play guy. He's really good as a color guy for Fox now. The worst play-by-play guy you could ever imagine.
Probably wouldn't have gotten a job if you had told me that story.
Boy, you're not kidding.
I could have killed his career.
I know you're that superstitious guy. When you talk to these Eagle players, are any of them that way? talking about for whatever reason?
Michael, you know that every player tries to go through his routine every single day, and these guys have got routines down. I mean, every player is the same thing, and they want to make sure. Listen, that's what today is all about, is getting back to your routine, right? On Wednesday, it's the first practice at the Super Bowl. And the one thing that Doug Peterson has tried to stress to this particular team is we're going to treat every game the same. We're not trying to make it too big or too small, whatever it is. We're going to do what we do. We're going to keep to doing what we are as a team. It's all about us all the time. So I think that's what they're doing today.
Well, the fun thing about this Philadelphia team is Sal Palantonio is with us, our intrepid reporter here with Golic and Wingo on the road. Presented by Progressive Insurance, live from the Hard Rock Cafe here in the Mall of America. And all you guys, we appreciate you guys being here that people can't see them on the radio side, but they're here on the TV side. Sal, the one thing that I find interesting about this Eagles team is they may be the perfect embodiment of the city they play for. Because as you know, Philly and Mike, you know it too, walks around with that big chip on their shoulder. Hey, we were the nation's capital until they shipped it out to D.C.
Yep.
Everybody talks about New York. Everyone talks about Chicago. They talk about L.A. No one really talks about Philadelphia. And once Wentz went down, not many people gave him a shot to get here. I'll be honest, I didn't. I said, well, it's probably going to be very difficult with the Vikings are playing, the way the Saints are playing. And they've adopted this us against the world thing, and it's perfect for that fan base.
Malcolm Jenkins, after Carson Wentz got hurt in the locker room at the L.A. Coliseum, he gave it a slogan.
Yeah.
We all we got, we all we need. And that's Philadelphia.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And it's so
somewhat isolated, but we're cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think one of the best stories, and I've heard you tell it, and you say tell it again, is, and I think about from a player side, if you're a prominent player and you get hurt, man, I mean, there's two ways you can go, especially when you see the team succeed. You can kind of go in the tank and be like, oh, man, woe is me. Or you can be Carson Wentz, who is really, really taking on a different, very out front role.
Yeah, he's there every morning. Fletcher Cox told me when he arrives at about 7:30, every single day Carson Wentz's car is already there at 6 a.m. He's in the quarterback meeting with Nick Foles, with Nate Sudfeld, right there side by side, going through the game plan, making sure that he can make whatever contribution he can. And, listen, some of this stuff is soppy, and a little overblown, but the bottom line is these two guys really like each other. They're both faith-based individuals. They've formed a special brotherhood. They've said, you know what, we can do this better together than apart. And the thing about, I sat down Carson Wentz a couple of days ago, and he sat and talked to me for 20 minutes, a one-on-one interview, and a lot of it's going to be on Sunday NFL Countdown. But we've been running snippets of it. And I wanted to get out of him, is there any sense that he he has had any remorse about what happened? Does he have any envy at all about Nick Foles? And he doesn't. He really, really understands the moment is about the team and that his contribution should not be minimized in any way, shape, or form. What he did in getting the team to this point is just as important as what Nick Foles did in the last two games.
No question about it. And, when opening night happened, they put up a very interesting graphic, which I thought was fascinating. And it was basically the career numbers of both Nick Foles and Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
They're almost identical.
Yeah, they are.
Foles 19-11 as a starter. Wentz 18-11. Completion percentage, both at 62%. TD to interception ratio, Foles 52 touchdowns to 18 picks. Wentz 49 to 21. QBR, Foles 61 out of 100. Wentz 60 out of 100. Now, we're not saying they're the same player. Clearly, Wentz is
they're
going
much
to
different players, and one has had a meteoric rise to get to those numbers. Carson Wentz in just 2 years. Nick Foles' career has been more of a gradual incline. And the Eagles would not be underdogs at home against the Falcons in the divisional round or in the NFC Championship game if Carson Wentz were playing the game. There's no question about it. They would be underdogs in this Super Bowl. You're playing Tom Brady and the Super Bowl champs. I get that. But it probably wouldn't have started at 6.5 points. But they have used this underdog thing as a rallying cry up to this point. But what I sense is they are pivoting away from it. You talk about chip on the shoulder, Trey?
Absolutely.
I think they're pivoting away from it, and I think Doug really understands that it's going to be about execution. They have this thing, no MAs, no missed assignments at all, because Brady will find one misassignment, and he will exploit it, and he will beat you, and you will go off the field a loser. The big thing about all of the Patriots' wins in the Super Bowls is, or losses, they've been one-score games.
Right.
And the difference really is contingency plan by Bill Belichick, Tom Brady exploiting one missed assignment. You go back to the Panthers Super Bowl. Kicked out of bounds, Vinatieri, short field, bang, field goal. You go back to Russell Wilson, throws an interception in the end zone. That was a play that they practiced. The Saturday before in the walkthrough, the Patriots practiced that pick.
And Malcolm Butler got beat on that play.
Yeah, he did 3 times.
Yeah.
3 times he got beat on that play in the walkthrough. And I remember the story that Darrelle Revis told me. He said that he sat next to Malcolm Butler on the bus coming home from the walkthrough, coming back to their hotel on Saturday, and he just told him, you got to make that play.
Right.
Yeah, or else it's going back to Popeye's Chicken in Alabama for you. That's what he basically said to him. And so they have contingency plans for contingency plans, and that's the true Patriot way. It's not any kind of mystique. It's they got some proper prior preparation.
Next man up.
Do your
job.
You know what the best contingency plan, though, for the Eagles was made before the season started when Jeffrey Lurie talked to Howard Roseman and said, do we spend $12 million on a backup quarterback?
Yeah.
And they agreed, because who has a $12 million backup quarterback? I guess you knew it was going to go that way with Gleason in Chicago once Trubisky, or Glennon, once
Glennon.
Trubisky turned over, he was making $15 million. But you spend $12 million on a backup. Or do you go with a cheaper backup?
Oh, there's no question that Howie Roseman, the executive vice president of the Eagles, is the executive of the year. You go Foles, trading for Ajayi. But you're going to love this one. I think the number one off-season or in-season acquisition for this team this year was Timmy Jernigan. I think he was the number one. Because
defensive lineman that they picked up from Baltimore.
Yeah, and because he's side by side with Fletcher Cox, and he has motivated and pushed Fletcher Cox. I think Cox, as a result, has had his best season as a pro. And Jernigan has a different personality from Fletcher Cox, more outgoing. He's pulled Fletcher Cox's personality out of him. I think they're perfect. And, yesterday we were talking to Fletcher Cox about Tom Brady, saying that the Eagles were no longer, you can't look at them as the underdogs in this game, 13-3, NFC champs and all that. And Jernigan said, you know what? Game respects game.
Right. Real recognizes real, as they like to say. Nobody's realer than Sal. We got a lot more to get with Sal after 30 seconds. But first, Mike, you got this.
Time for a little straight talk. To win at basketball, it's all about your defensive coverage. Do you go one-on-one? Do you go zone? Similar coverage debates happen when choosing your wireless provider, but you should stick with Straight Talk. Here's why. You're getting great coverage with Straight Talk because they use the exact same 4G LTE cell towers as the big carriers, but up to 30% less. Get the ultimate unlimited plan for just $55 a month. No contract. On America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless only at Walmart. Savings may vary. Video typically streams at DVD quality. Refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
All right, we continue here on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Live from the Hard Rock Cafe inside the Mall of America. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, but Sal Powell has been gracious enough to join us on set here.
I wouldn't miss it.
Come on, partner. The one thing I love about both these teams in this matchup, Sal, is that I think they both embody what you have to do to be successful in the NFL. And that's just find a way to survive. I mean, both of these teams have been decimated by injuries. I mean, Julian Edelman hasn't played a snap all year. You can make the case that the Patriots lost their arguably third best option on offense in Julian Edelman before the season began. Dante Hightower's gone, their best defensive player. And then you look at the things that Jordan Hicks, the linebacker for the Eagles, is out. Jason Peters, maybe one of the 2 or 3 best left tackles in football. He's out. Carson Wentz is out. Both of these teams have found the secret sauce to winning in the NFL. It's like what has happened doesn't matter. The only thing that does matter is what we do going forward.
And it's really 2 different personalities at the head coach position because Belichick is more of a guy that's a clinician, right? He's going to make sure that he's got the players in the right place at all times. Peterson's got that great emotional intelligence, right? He understands football is not only tactical, it's psychological, right? You have to have the passion for the game. It's the only game that we still have where you have a license to commit a violent act against another person. It's not innate in the human being to do that. So you have to be motivated.
It's innate, some of them.
Well,
you
have to be
Fletcher
motivated.
Cox would be a good example.
Yeah, but you have to be motivated to do it on a 60-minute game, right? Absolutely. And that takes a special kind of leadership, and I think Peterson has that. When I asked Doug specifically, it was really interesting. What are the 3 keys to the game? He didn't say Nick Foles and all that. He didn't say we got to get pressure on Brady. He understands that in this game against the Patriots, and he looked back at it, 1, turnover battle is absolutely the key. In the postseason under Bill Belichick, the Patriots are 15-0 when they win the turnover battle. You absolutely must win the turnover battle against the New England Patriots, or you're going to lose in the postseason. Belichick's the master at making sure that's a point of emphasis. Number 2, field position. And I'll tell you, penalties are going to play a big part in this game. Gene Steratore is the referee. What happened in New England is fresh in everybody's mind, how there was a total imbalance. In the 2 postseason games the Patriots have played in this year, 16 call penalties and accepted for their opponents, only 5 for the Pats. A major imbalance, and that is it is what it is. You're not going to be able to influence it unless you play a way that the referees are not calling penalties against you, and penalties determine field position in a lot of ways. So that's a point of emphasis for the Eagles going into this football game. And then number 3, without a doubt, sound special teams play. You look at all of the Patriots' wins, whether it's Vinatieri, whether it's Slater, they are sound in special teams in all of their Super Bowl wins. So I thought Doug had a really good handle on the details of what it takes to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Now, whether you can execute it, that's the key. But those 3 things I thought were really important.
In the area of covering all their bases, and it sounds like something a head coach would do, would Doug Peterson bring that up to the league or somebody about the penalties? Not to complain, or somebody would, not to complain, but just to make them aware. Listen, I mean, look at the disparity amongst the penalties here.
You've been in a lot of meetings on a Saturday before an NFL game, right? And the coaches who really understand all the details will talk to the players on Saturday. Okay, here's your referee. Here's what they normally do. They call PIs. They call defensive holding. They'll call offensive holding. They'll call hits to the head. They want to make sure you get into the strike zone of the quarterback. Steratore is one of those guys. If you go out of the strike zone and hitting Tom Brady, he'll call it on you. I've seen it a million times with Steratore. He is watching that you are hitting the quarterback in the strike zone. You go out of the strike zone, the penalty flag is coming out, and the drive is going to continue.
Well, the other thing there that's interesting is that we ran the numbers, as Sal Palantonio was here with us, over the 34 playoff games, which is a ridiculous number.
Yes, it is.
Belichick and Brady have been together in, and the penalty separation over that time frame was exactly 2. 166 penalties against the Patriots' opponents, only 164 against the Patriots. Now, you could say, well, that doesn't count the penalties that should have been called that weren't, but you can pick out that in almost any game.
You could do that all the time.
So it wasn't that big of a discrepancy that people talk about. It's just the 6-1.
Right, and they won't talk about, Trey, they won't talk about the discrepancy. They'll talk about the tendency. Right. This is an all-star crew with Gene Steratore. So you're going to look at each one of those guys. And our guy, Kevin Seifert, who does it for the NFL Nation, ESPN.com, is working on that story right now as we speak. Okay, well, who's the back judge in this game? What does he normally call? And that the teams are doing the exact same thing.
Well, that's
penalties and field position will be a big determinant in this game.
Players know the referees, know the officials. Most of them know them by name if they've been around for a while, and they know how they call a game. And I say this about basketball as well. Watch the first
umpires in baseball.
Right, exactly.
Different strike zones.
Watch the first part of the game, because one of the best ways to stop a guy like Gronk is to mug him, and mug him downfield.
And they can get away with a little bit.
Well, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
You try that. How do you get away with it? Is the ref throwing a flag? How much can you get him? Can you mug him past 5 yards? What are they letting you get away with? If you're a D lineman, is he calling holding? If you get held, you go to the ref. Hey, watch him. He's holding me. Do you then get that ref to watch and get a holding call later? This is all the stuff that goes on by the players on the field trying to buy and or sell calls, or more importantly, get a read on how the officials are going to call the game. And then you have to hope that they're consistent with it, and then as a player, you have to adjust. Okay, he's letting me mug him a little bit. I'll mug him a little bit. I'll mug him for 7. Maybe I'll try and get away with 8 yards. Oh, wait, they threw the flag here? Okay, I can't do that.
I have to adjust. Game stuff. That
all the
behind-the-scenes stuff, especially as the game gets closer, you want to know what these teams are doing to get any edge. Like I said, every single one of the Patriots' wins or losses in the Super Bowl has been a one-score game. You got to get every possible edge that you can, because the Patriots are prepared in every single way.
And the weird thing is they've never scored a single point in the first
quarter.
Unreal. So, if they score early, that might be a bad indication. But I think this game's going to go down to the wire. I agree. There's never been a Patriot blowout except when they lost to the Bears 46-10.
Right.
No, I'm talking about in the Belichick
absolutely. No, you're exactly right.
Belichick is the head coach. Yeah. It's a different story.
Every single one of their Super Bowls has been a one-possession game. Sal? Always good to see you,
Sal.
man. Sal Paolantonio here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Golic and Wingo, the podcast.
It was all sort of one big giant Jell-O mold.
It's very interesting where that went.
Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen is here. And as the Vikings have done all year, they are feeling Thielen. Adam, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I know you wanted to be here under different circumstances as being the part of the first team to ever play a Super Bowl in their home stadium. But just as a Viking in general and a guy from the state of Minnesota, what does it mean for all this to be here this week?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Obviously, like you said, it'd be nice to be playing in the home stadium. We had a nice little opportunity there, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's pretty cool for this city. It's an amazing city. It's so clean and it's so friendly, and there's so many great things to see in the city. So it's great. It's great, and I think the city's handling it well so far, and look forward to the rest of the week.
We'll get into some of those things as the ice fishing and everybody telling me where to get the Juicy Lucy's now all over the place.
I'm all in it.
So we'll get into all that. But then you guys, after you were knocked out of the playoffs, y'all had the mini reunion at the Pro Bowl. A bunch of you played in that, and if the NFC would have won, you probably would have had either Kyle or Harrison Smith as the MVPs of that. But so is that any bit of a consolation prize at all that you could put that away, the loss, and move on to that, even though you weren't going to be in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it actually was really nice because we were able to, when you end a season, usually you have the rest of the offseason to think about it. Where this time we were able to just go back, play football, get around a bunch of guys that love the game of football, and like I said, go catch some passes, go play a game. And then kind of just try to forget about the last one.
And the one thing you don't have to worry about in the Pro Bowl is getting tackled, right? Because rarely anybody was getting brought to the ground. But it seemed to work out, though, huh?
I did like, by the way, it was pretty clear in the Pro Bowl that the refs were like, once your momentum stopped, we are blowing
the whistle. Quick whistle.
I think I saw 3 people on the ground in the entire game, but it worked. The ratings for the Pro Bowl were up some 26%. Now, this hour of Golic and Wingo brought to you by La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com and win at business. As we said, Adam Thielen is here with us. Can you take us through? Actually, I was with some of your teammates last night, some offensive linemen, Nick Everett, Jeremiah Searles, doing something over at the NFL Experience. How was the transition for you guys getting ready to play again for the NFC Championship game after the amazing 7-Heaven call that got you there? Because the emotions of that thing had to be peaking you so high. How quickly or how strongly was Mike Zimmer able to say, okay, that's great, we got another game to play?
Yeah, I think we did a good job. I think in this league we're so used to just going boom, Tuesday off, Wednesday back to work, and getting on to the next opponent. And I think we did a good job of doing that again. But at the same time, I think we saw that clip of the Minneapolis Miracle about 5,000 times, and we're constantly getting reminded about it. So. It's hard to get over something like that, especially when you're emotional win like that, and you feel almost like it's fate and that you should be able to take care of the next one. But it is what it is, and we know that we have to play better than that. We probably played our worst game of football that next week, and we got to figure out why we did that.
Yeah, you got to be careful of that fate thing. Sometimes it can sneak up on you. And in that game, now, if you play long enough, you all have games like that. But unfortunately, it was in a more high visible and meaningful game. Was there a point during that Philly game where you're on the sideline where you're just like, wow, I can't believe this is happening on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I think that came when in the fourth quarter when they had the ball and we're running the clock out. It was like, man, what just happened? Because I think early in the game we went down and scored. We got another defensive stop, got the ball back, and we were moving the ball again. It felt like, hey, we're right where we want to be. We're doing the things that we normally do to win football games, and then the tide shifted and all the momentum went the other way. And I think everything happened so fast we didn't even really realize what happened. And before you know it, they were celebrating and going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Vikings wideout Adam Thielen with us, joining us by Straight Talk Wireless, giving us the Straight Talk best phones, best networks, no contracts. By the way, I've just been getting some scouting intel from you, from a friend of mine. Says Thielen is my guy. Ask him about his golf game. You're playing in Tahoe this year, right? Is that?
I'm hoping they invite me back.
Was that bad? Was it that bad the first time around?
It wasn't that bad, but no, I'm a huge golf fan. I love to play. I've been playing since I was a little guy. And definitely need to get my game a little bit better because I want to be in the final pairing this year.
How good are you? What's your?
I'm like
we got to convert him to golf. By the way, he's a stout.
Listen,
it's the best thing ever.
Adam, I'm going to tell you something. When you're not playing well, do you get frustrated out there and stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay, you know what I do? I shoot mid 90s, drunk or sober, and I'm happy as a clam either way. So you know what? Nothing affects me, so I don't need to do anymore.
Setting the bar high.
That's it. So ladies and gentlemen. How good is your game?
I'm a 3 or 4.
Really?
Yeah, and I wish I could play more. Obviously, I have a family, young family.
Right.
Yeah, don't forget that. Yeah. Get out there and hit the ball, Adam.
Sorry, kids.
I know. I need to get out there more because I do really enjoy it. And like I said, I've been playing since I was a little boy, so I should be a lot better than I am. But
so should I. But that's
that's how it always is.
But by the way, my source coming from my friend who's a great Minnesotan in his own right, Marty Fish.
Okay,
that's Marty.
Oh,
that's Marty giving you grief. Former great tennis. I think he was at one point number 1 U.S. player and done a great job. So that's
my
Marty.
Guy. Yeah, that's my guy. And he's cheating because he plays every single day.
Well, he said, see, that's the thing with Marty. He says he never plays.
Yeah.
He plays all the time. Oh, his line is when we come in and do Wimbledon together, he's like, I haven't played in a month and shot a 64.
Yeah,
whatever, dude. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. So no matter how good you get at golf, don't be Marty Fish.
Yeah. I need to beat him this year, though. That's my.
There you go.
I have confidence in you because I don't have confidence in him. But that's a separate issue entirely.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously you played this Eagles team, and you know what they're capable of. What was the thing that impressed you the most about taking them on in the NFC Championship game?
Well, I think when that week of preparation, when I was looking at film, I think the thing that impressed me the most about that defense was there was no open receiver. I mean, there was never a guy that was catching a ball wide open, running after catch, things like that. Every ball was contested. So going into that game, we knew that they're going to be all over us. They're going to be holding. They're going to be grabbing, and that we have to make catches when it's contested. So that's credit to them. I mean, obviously they have a front four that can rush the passer, and that makes it a little more fun for those guys in the back end to just kind of play free and attack it. They're able to jump routes, and they know that teams aren't going to have a whole lot of time to throw deep balls and things like that.
It seems like they're a defense, you would know, you tell me, that makes frustration set in with you because of the way they play with the pulling and tugging and grabbing and trying and getting away with some of that stuff where you guys get frustrated with it.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like I said, when you're having to consistently have to catch the ball with somebody all over you, it makes you frustrated. And another thing is they don't give up the deep ball. They play really far off. They don't play a whole lot of press man. They drop a lot of guys in coverage because they have so much faith in that front four. So that's frustrating as well because you're constantly having to dump it down, check down, and you don't get those deep shots. Whereas a receiver, that's what you want. Yeah. You want that big play. You want to move the ball quickly. So that's kind of their game.
I always wondered, take us on the field a little bit. When you're running a route, do you know at some point in that route there's no way you're getting the ball?
Yeah, for sure. There is times where you're like, shoot, I have no shot. But the good thing with Case this year, he was able to break the pocket and, kind of create extra time. So at that point, then then you do have a chance to get the ball. So some quarterbacks, you know when you're going to get the ball and when you're not going to get the ball. Case was more of a wild card just because he could break the pocket and he could use his feet to let us give us some time.
So let people know when we talk about breaking the pocket, when basically the routes are over and he breaks the pocket, what are the rules? Because it's not just willing, unless it is, you tell me.
Get open.
But are there rules to where you are on the field in relation to what you're supposed to do if he breaks the pocket?
Yeah, technically, the deepest guy is supposed to go deep, and if you're nearest to him, you're supposed to go to the sideline. Things like that, but really, when it comes down to it, and in the games, you're going in the game, you're just trying to get open.
It is kind of playground,
yeah,
huh?
Absolutely. And I think that's the coolest thing about Case is if you do get open, you're going to get the ball. And so for me, it was as soon as I saw him break the pocket, I'm trying to find green grass, and hopefully he can see me.
Adam Thielen, Vikings wide out with us this morning here at the Mall of America inside the Hard Rock Cafe. You mentioned Case Keenum. The Vikings are in maybe the most unique quarterback situation I can think of, especially for a team that did as well as you guys did this year. All three of the top quarterbacks on your roster are on expiring contracts. Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, and Sam Bradford. As a receiver, are you like, what's going on here? Who's going to be pitching me the rock next year?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a little nervous. I'm just trying to stay in it and see what they're going to do. And another thing is the offense coordinator.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
a big.
now the head coach of the Giants.
That's a big deal too because we're going to have a whole different playbook, and it'll be interesting to see who that they're going to pick for that. So there's some question marks, that's for sure. And as a receiver, that's kind of a little nerve-wracking. But I have a lot of confidence in our GM and our management and coaches. They're gonna make it work, and they want to win, and they want to win just as bad as we do. So they're gonna do what's best for this team.
We always hear about the wide receivers. Even the wide receivers admit they're the divas of the crew out there.
Divas, as I call them. Not you.
Now, you've come up with this a little different than the first round, a pick kind of guy of your route to where you are right now. But have you gotten to the point now you're an integral part of the offense where you always tell your quarterback, you're open? I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm open all the time.
Yeah, I have a bad problem with that. And, the quarterbacks give me a lot of crap for that because I always come to the sideline. I don't even realize I'm doing it in the game, but come to the sideline, man, where were you looking? I was wide open. And then they look at the thing, they're like, you had three guys on you. I don't know what you're talking about.
But that's the confidence you have to be successful in this league, right?
As a playmaker, you want the ball in your hands. You want opportunities. As a receiver, you wish they'd throw it to you every single down and give you an opportunity no matter who's on you. You feel like you can make a play. And like you said, that's kind of the confidence that you have to have. You kind of have to have a little arrogance when you play this game to play at a high level.
All right, we had Commissioner Roger Goodell on our show yesterday, and we asked him this question, and he kind of chuckled before the answer.
Yeah.
And it says they're going to figure this out this offseason.
I already know what you're going to say.
So to you, a guy who has to do it, what is a catch?
Oh man, I think there's two different areas of what a catch is. I think there's the in the field catch, and then there's the in the end zone catch. I think it's totally different rules, or that's how it's been. I feel like when you're in the end zone, the ball cannot move whatsoever, and it can't touch the ground. You have to have obviously 2 feet in bounds and all that. When you're in the field of play, I feel it's a little more lenient. The ball can move as long as it doesn't touch the ground, things like that.
Should it be that difficult?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, no, and
it makes it tough on us, especially with the 18 different cameras you have on.
Yeah.
Roger basically said the same thing to us. He was like, it shouldn't be that difficult. And I broached the topic, and I'm hopeful that he's serious when he thinks they're going to look at this. What always bothered me, Adam, is that the possession rules are completely different when you're a runner as opposed to a receiver. We've seen this a million times, whether it's a quarterback or a running back. He starts from the 2 or the 1 yard line, jumps up in the air, the ball crosses the plane, it's knocked out, but the ball broke the plane, so it's a touchdown. Then you have a receiver like yourself who maybe catches the ball on the 2 or 3 yard line, makes a football move with complete possession, crosses the plane, and then falls to the ground and the ball comes out. That's an incomplete pass. There can't be the different standards for two people who have possession of the ball before they get to the goal line and then completely change when they cross the goal line.
Yeah, I agree.
We're starting this.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, you look at that the Pittsburgh play.
Yeah,
I think
Jesse James.
Was it the last game of the season or second to last? That's a touchdown. Like you said, he caught the ball, he dove for it, the ball crossed the end zone. that's it. It should be over right there. But then the ball moved, and they said it wasn't a catch.
So what if they called you up and say, Adam, what is your definition of a catch?
I'd say
look at my highlights, man. Check out my highlights on YouTube.
I'd say you have 2 feet in bounds. You have possession of the ball, and the ball doesn't touch the ground. I think if the ball moves and it doesn't touch the ground, I still think it's a catch. Mm-hmm. But like I said, you have possession, you have 2 feet in bounds, and the ball doesn't hit the ground. I think that's a catch.
The goal line thing, though, it should be the same, right? It has to be the same for everybody, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where the rules kind of messed up right now. I mean, to have a catch be ruled differently in the end zone compared to in the field, I think is kind of crazy. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing that they need to figure out and make it a little simpler for those refs. I mean, I think the refs did a good job with the rules they had, and they called it the right way, but I think it should be different.
And even Roger Goodell said, don't blame the refs. He said they're just trying to interpret a rule which is very difficult to interpret out on the field. And then they know the eye in the sky may change what they call anyway, so it does have to be a little tough on them. You mentioned earlier, or we talked about you going to the Pro Bowl. It was your first Pro Bowl. For, again, a guy who wasn't a first-rounder, the expectation was for you to be at a lot of those. You worked your way up to it. How was that experience? Now you're in front of all the top players in the league.
Yeah, it was really cool. I'm so glad I went. Was able to bring my family out there and have my little man on the field with me almost every day. And then just being around those guys. I mean, it's really cool just to be around a bunch of guys that love the game of football, are extremely talented, obviously, but it goes beyond that. Those guys aren't there because they're extremely talented. They're there because they love football, they're competitive, and they work their tails off. I mean, it was so fun to see guys just competing, even though it's the Pro Bowl and we're in practice and they're going full speed when it's just a walkthrough, because guys just love to be out there. So it was a really cool experience for me, and I'm glad I went.
Golic and Wingo with you on the road, presented by Progressive Insurance, live from the Hard Rock Cafe here in the Mall of America in Minneapolis. Adam Thielen is with us on the set here. Adam, we're going to hear from Commissioner Roger Goodell, and hopefully at his State of the League address later on today, which will be on NFL Live when it's on the air on ESPN. We'll get a little more clarity about what he wants to do with the catch rule. But as for you going forward, you mentioned Pat Shurmur, your offensive coordinator, is now the head coach of the New York Giants. For those Giants fans that haven't sort of been following Pat Shurmur as closely as you have over the last few years, what do you think they can expect from their new head coach?
Well, I'd say, first of all, he's really good at adapting. He's not a guy that's going to be stubborn to what he does and, hey, this is how I do it, this is the only way to do it. He's going to be a guy that, hey, if this play doesn't work, or if these players don't like these plays or don't do these plays well, we'll throw them out and we'll figure out what these guys do best, and we're going to put that on the field. So, he's really good about just simplifying things, letting us play fast, letting us kind of do our own thing a little bit. I think some guys can be really strict on your splits and how you run a route. He's a little bit more lenient to say, hey, you obviously have to be at this point at this time, but get open and do it the fastest way as possible. So it's nice to have a coordinator like that kind of gives you a little freedom.
How did you deal with you guys as individuals? Because as we know with the Giants, they had some locker room issues, and so the head coach has to kind of set the tempo. He was kind of the head coach of the offense for you guys. How is he at dealing with the individual players?
Yeah, I think he's good. I think it's difficult no matter who you are as a coach, and no matter who the players are, to really be on everybody's side, because some guys aren't going to be able to play, and some guys aren't going to get the ball every time like they want to. So it's a difficult position. I mean, you only have one football, and you have a lot of guys that want it. So it's a difficult job, but I think he does a really good job of just saying, hey, I'm out here trying to win games, and that's my only goal. I don't care what you guys think. I just want to win, and I'm going to do the best I can to help you do that.
Adam Thielen with us here on the set. The Vikings wide out. Okay, later on today, Golic is going ice fishing.
Yes.
Or as Tony Dungy said, fake ice fishing. Because he's going to be in the heater with the beer.
Yes, I am.
He's going to be in the ice house. He's not going to be looking around for the great fish. I'm going to be doing the rides here at the roller coaster here at Mall of America. What other things? Because we had you on earlier, and we made you our unofficial tour guide of Minneapolis. So give us a list of 3 other things that we need to cross off our list while we're here.
3 other things. Well, I saw that they're doing the the zip line.
Zip line, yeah.
Mississippi. I think that's pretty sweet. I want to do that myself.
We want to do that, yes.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Let's see, what else? Well, you got to go skating, ice skating.
Skating?
Yeah.
Is there a preferred location?
Well, there's downtown St. Paul, which is pretty cool, but
okay.
I think the old pond hockey, get out there and shoot the puck
old time hockey, Eddie Shore, yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be
Let's
cool.
go look for a bunch of kids playing backyard hockey, and we'll go in the game. Yeah. Can take them out.
That'd be perfect. And third one. Let me see here.
Juicy Lucy's been behind a lot of
people's
lists.
Juicy Lucy's great.
Okay, there it is.
But the problem is there's like 8 different places that claim that they have the first Juicy Lucy. So we're
not
really
looking for the first.
We're just looking for a good one.
We're just looking for charred beef with cheese inside it.
Pretty much.
We're pretty simple cavemen.
Well, yeah, you definitely have to do that, though. It's worth it.
Okay, so we should probably do the Juicy Lucy first and work it off with the zip lining and the ice.
The problem, I can't Juicy Lucy ice fish and drink a beer because I only have 2 hands. And let me tell you, burger, beer, the pole is losing. You know what I mean?
Well,
the fishing pole is losing.
Put it under your foot.
But that's the good thing about ice fishing. You just have it hanging there.
That's true. That's exactly right.
Just step on the pole, and then if it bites, you wiggle it, you pick it up.
Have you ice fished?
Yeah, so my hometown, Detroit Lakes, there's basically a little town on our lake that's just ice fishing. So, I did a lot growing up and had a lot of fun just hanging out, playing cards, playing cribbage, and drinking beer, I guess, and fishing.
Yeah,
I guess he did. I guess. I don't
You're
know.
allowed to say it.
I might have had.
You're an adult.
I might have had 1 or 74. I'm not sure. Okay, before we let you go, tell us about the Adam and Caitlin Foundation.
Yeah, so it hasn't officially been up yet, but we're about to start it, and it's going to be a really cool thing. I think we're in the point of our career where we want to really make sure that we're giving back and using this platform that we have to making sure that we're doing things in the community to help out. And obviously, being from here, we're really excited to be able to give back to this area and this community. And we're really going to focus on children that are sick and their families and trying to help out in any way we can.
Well, that's awesome.
That's fantastic. And comfortable is the wrong word because a player never wants to be comfortable going into next year. Is this the most secure, good feeling you have going into an off season, leading in another year than you've had, or was it last year? Or?
Well, last year I felt pretty good because I just signed the deal and got some guaranteed money, so I felt pretty good.
That's pretty nice.
That would do it.
Yeah,
bet the wife was really happy about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it made it and it's tough. It's tough for my wife, obviously, before because we didn't know if I was going to be here, New York. Who knows? If you get cut and things like that, going and doing tryouts and doing all that. So the last 3-4 years have been kind of a whirlwind for her, and for me, I'm just out there playing football. I don't really think about it, but I'm glad. That's why it was kind of nice to be able to just say, hey, we're going to be here for a couple of years for sure, and have a little bit of security is nice.
I like your chances of sticking around.
Yeah, I do too. I think it worked out all right.
Going out on a limb there, but I like it. Adam Thielen, thanks for being with us. Adam Thielen with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Golic and Wingo, the podcast.
Let's not expect too much. There's only one person out there that's expecting way too much out of this guy too early. We know who that is. It's his father.
Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is here, joining us on set, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contract. He's here on behalf of Old Spice. If you're watching on ESPN2, you can see the wonderful T-shirt he's wearing. First, thanks for being here, and I know you would have rather been here under different circumstances. Your rookie season cut short, but it was an amazing thing to watch how quickly you adapted to the NFL, and that team in Houston rallied around you.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Just being able to take control of the team, especially early on in the season, and have all the veteran guys kind of rally around me, so we can try to have some success and just try to change the culture a little bit and just make it more fun. And our biggest thing on offense was score points, and if we can score points, our defense is gonna try to hold them under the amount we get and try to win games.
No matter where you're picked, a first-round guy, so expectations are high. Then it's a quarterback position, so it gets magnified. It's still got to be an experience the first time you go into a regular season game, forgetting the preseason. So take us back then. You didn't start the season, but then coach comes to you and take us through the process of telling you you're going in and your first experience and what that was like getting in a game.
It was kind of weird because I've always started my career, but once I got to the NFL, I had to take the back seat, and then once we came in at halftime, we were down, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, it's your time." make sure you rally around the guys and make sure that you have the confidence to go in there and try to, make a comeback. And, I went in, first drive, went down and scored a touchdown. But right after that, he said it's my team and, you just take it and run with it.
When he said that to you at halftime, did you see it coming at all, or were you completely shell-shocked?
I kind of seen it coming. I prepared myself. I just never knew when I was going to be able to play, but I just made sure that I was prepared. And once he said it, I was ready to go.
Well, you certainly were.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about it. The interesting thing was how quickly everything seemed to click. Because for the last couple of years, as you said, the Texans' defense, as Deshaun Watson is here with us, had been great. But the offense, mainly because of the quarterback position, had struggled. When did you know, hey, I'm good enough to do this at a high level? How quickly did you have that confidence once you got in a game?
Once I got in the game, it was probably right after game 2 when we went up to New England and we played. We went head to head with the team that's getting ready to play for the Super Bowl.
Absolutely,
on the road.
you guys did.
We came down to the wire, but once I played that game, I knew that I could play at this level at a high level and compete with the best. And once I knew that, everyone can feel that energy, and we just kind of took it and ran with it.
How much, because we see players that come out early, especially quarterbacks from college, how much can you attribute to the experience you had in college? Because when you came in, I said I had thought you were the most ready quarterback, and I would have taken you as the first quarterback in that draft class because of that. Is there something to that of the experience from college that carries over?
I think so. Just mean the amount of reps that you get in a live game. I played in the past 2 years. I played, I think, 34 games, and so being able to have all those reps and be able to see different looks and play against some of the best players that's in the NFL. That's some of the top players right now. It was very, very helpful for me. So when I came into the league, I was able to kind of transition very quickly and manage things.
Well, you certainly did. And your head coach at Clemson, Dabo Swinney, who we've had on the show a bunch of times, told everybody that if you pass on Deshaun Watson, you're passing on Michael Jordan. So he set the bar pretty high.
Yeah, he did.
And then we looked this up, which was great. After the game where you scored 57, you scored 57 against the Titans, 57-14. We actually looked up how many points Michael Jordan scored in the game in his rookie year. The most he ever scored was 49. So you did it. You did it. Congratulations.
Appreciate
you
it.
actually were better than Michael Jordan coming out of the gate. When you heard Dabo say that, were you like, hey, man, I love you, or don't put the bar that high, man?
Well, we always set the bar high at Clemson University. And, that's just the confidence he have in me. And, Coach Swinney been around a lot of great players, and he's seen a lot of great players. And, that's how he really feels. So, I respect his opinion and what he said about me. But, I have a long way to go to be able to have that type of name, and I understand that. So, each day counts, and each year counts, and it's a new year. So, what I did last year, I have to do even better this year and start over.
Well, you got one on Jordan. Just know that. You got one. You got one. You got one.
Deshaun Watson joining us, Texans quarterback. So usually if you play long enough, you ride a roller coaster of emotion. It took you all of a year to ride that, to get in the game and start in your first game, take over the team and be playing at an unbelievable level and then getting hurt. And know you're going to have to rehab and wait till next year. So take us through that part of it. You had the high, and then you had that low of getting hurt.
The low was it was shocking. It happened in practice, kind of a weird thing, and I just kind of made a move, and I just kind of just fell. And, I hopped up, ran off the field, didn't think anything was wrong, but the trainer was just like, hey, let's go to the MRI and just kind of get it checked. And we got it checked, and the results came back that I had a torn ACL, and it was just kind of weird. But I kind of been through the situation before, and I just kind of went back to my roots and my support cast, and I have a great team around me that's been supporting me, so I'm getting through it very well.
Did you really not think anything was wrong, or were you just kind of hoping amongst hope that nothing was wrong?
I really didn't think anything was wrong.
So you didn't feel it was loose or anything like that?
I did not.
Wow.
I just kind of just made like a cut. I thought my foot just got stuck and I just fell, but I've been through my left one in college, and I felt the pop. And I knew then, but for this one, I didn't know at all.
Interesting. And so where are you with the rehab? How's that all going?
3 months out. Rehab is very, very, very good, and I'm ahead of schedule, so everything's going smooth, and try to keep it on that, and try to get better each and every day.
Well, you certainly are looking like you're well on your way as Deshaun Watson is with us, the Texans quarterback. Again, out of Clemson, you guys won the national championship that one year. You got back into the college football playoff, but fell a little short against Alabama. What do you think Clemson needs to do next to get back into that level and make sure you guys are one more time loaded for bear?
Just continue to do what they're doing. Whatever they did last year, they have to go 10 times harder because, they fell a little bit short. So, still have that same mentality, still have that same grind and hunger within themselves, which they will. And Coach Sweeney's going to make sure of that.
And also what happened on the defensive side of the ball, those guys coming
they
back.
All came back. All those defensive linemen. I was shocked
It's
by
like
that.
an NFL D line.
Exactly.
It's unreal.
So
that's just – explain that. Is that just because of the program, because of Dabo, because of they want to taste it again? What was the thought process there?
Honestly, kind of playing with those guys, probably the brotherhood and the family feel that they had. And I feel like they, most of those guys could have came out and been first, second, third round and been very, very productive at the NFL level. But I feel like there's more that they want to achieve. And, it's bigger than just football. It's more about family and just creating that real great atmosphere for the university.
Well, listen, the kid Christian Wilkins, is that the defense who did the splits after the national championship? Yeah. Dude, I pulled something watching that. How limber is that guy? This is a 300-pound, 310-pound defensive lineman who, after they won the title a year ago, literally did the splits on middle. I'm like, I could heal my hamstring.
There's no shot.
There's just no
shot.
He's very athletic. He can dunk. He can do 360s. He can backflip.
And he can sack the quarterback and disrupt an offensive line.
He can maul people as well.
Exactly.
So you went through the whole pre-draft thing last year, which it blows my mind that after you're done playing real football, how you get judged on what you do in shorts and a T-shirt. But this is the process we have. So along those lines, what advice, if any, do you give to the Baker Mayfields, the Josh Rosen, the Sam Darnold, the Josh Allens, these guys that are all getting ready to go through that on what is really to prioritize?
Honestly, with this draft process, I'll say take advantage of every opportunity. I know it seems like it's a waste of time, but something good is always going to come out of it. And learn as much as you can, regardless if it's a team that might not need a quarterback. I had interviews with like the Oakland Raiders where they have Derek Carr, but I knew that I probably wasn't going to get drafted by him. But at the same time, I can learn football from that coaching staff. And so, just try to take as much as you can through the process. And then once it's over and once you get on the team, put that behind you and get focused on football.
Play actual football again instead of training for the jumping and the sprinting, huh?
Exactly.
Deshaun, obviously it looked like it came very easily to you, but we know there's a lot of hard work behind that. When you got on the field for the first time, what was the thing you were like, whoa, I need to do this better at this level?
I say the speed of the game and being able to process things very, very quickly, going from one side of the field to the other side and not making that mistake. And I learned that quick versus Jacksonville in the second half, how something might seem open and that's, it's closed. And
window's a little smaller in the NFL.
Exactly.
Men playing that game, huh?
Right. So once I learned that, I kind of made sure that each and every week that I was focused on making the right decision and knowing where I was going with the ball before I even snap it.
All right, you played the Patriots and again had a chance to either win or tie late in that contest. It looked like you were going to be able to run out the clock maybe if DeAndre had gotten that first down before Brady came back and led him to that score. So who do you like in this contest? Who do you like, the Patriots, or what do you think about the Eagles? Putting you on the spot here on a Wednesday.
Yes.
And reminder, there are people out there in Patriots and Eagles jerseys. I'm just pointing that out.
It's tough. The Eagles have a great team. Nick Foles is playing very, very well. The defense is lights out. But you can never count out Brady. And
you saw that firsthand.
I've seen it firsthand live, playing against him, and I've seen it last week against a very, very good Jacksonville team. So I'm not sure. I'm not going to pick.
You know what? He has a future in politics.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the way to go.
Deshaun Watson is here with us. We know you're here with Old Spice, so tell us about the stuff you're doing with Old Spice.
Yeah, I'm actually glad to be back with Old Spice again and teaming up with them. Presenting a new captain, Reds collection, and people can be able to get their premium scent and not have to have a pricey different brand.
Well, that's awesome,
yeah.
And it's a great time to see you here. It's great to have you here. I hated to see that injury. Look forward to seeing you back on the field better than ever in 2018.
Thank you.
Deshaun Watson.
And maybe he can help you out since you forgot deodorant this morning.
Well, yeah,
he could have helped you out.
Actually, you know what? I think the one they gave me was Old Spice.
Yeah,
so it worked out okay.
There you go. That worked out.
I've got a wonderful scent. Our scents are the same right now. And literally that's all that's the same between us and Deshaun Watson.
This has been the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast. Make sure to subscribe on the ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, and to listen every weekday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and the ESPN app.